Hi, welcome. This is Erin. Thank you for tuning in. Today's practice is all about the hips and the heart and really softening into these parts of our body. So as always, we'll add the breath and allow the breath to focus the mind, breathing right into sensations we feel. And so as we enter into yoga postures that tap into these emotional centers of our body, you may notice that feelings arise or feelings move in waves. And with the benefit of yoga, we can bring breath right into those feelings and trust that we'll be okay in this practice, held in this practice, in the safety of our mat, to move through whatever comes up for ourselves. And we'll probably find a ton of sensation and breathe into that too. So my invitation to you today is to be really gentle with yourself, to cultivate curiosity about your own experience, and to allow yourself to be as you are right here, right now, without trying to fix or change anything about yourself or your experience. And in this place of self-love and some kindness, we'll be using some props to support our practice. I really believe that if we support ourselves enough in yoga and in life, eventually something's going to let go or something's going to give. And so it's so easy to just try to push through everything, but the props really allow us to melt into our opening, our allowing state, where all good things manifest. And so today we'll be using blankets, and if you have blocks, we'll use those too. A strap and a bolster can be really nice. You can put 2 pillows in a pillowcase if you don't have a bolster. As far as the strap, if you don't have one, you can use the strength of your body, or you can grab a piece of fabric or anything that resembles a yoga strap that you have lying around your house. And blankets are easy to find around the house. You can just take 2. So you can put those under your knees and under your hips. As you see me moving through the video and moving my props around, you can also do that as well. It really helps for a little extra cushion to protect your body and to let yourself soften and really let go into postures so you can experience what you need to experience without any sort of discomfort. So in this place, we'll begin in a restorative bridge pose, lying on our back. So you can meet me on the mat, lying on your back. For this, you can use blankets or a block or a bolster. And so if you use blankets, take a couple and stack them on top of each other and place them directly under your low back in a supportive position. Set yourself up as though you're moving into a regular bridge pose, and then you support yourself underneath the low back in the sweet spot above the tailbone. If you're using a block or a bolster, you place it in the same place, and you can place the block on any setting. And as you enter this restorative bridge pose, just find some softening around the eyes and the mouth and the jaw, and begin to check in with yourself here, deepening your breath. Notice the quality of your breath as you settle down, landing more fully with each breath in your experience here. And continue to make any adjustments you need to make to get comfortable. And sometimes people put things up under their head also in this position, but I highly recommend, if you need something under your head, have a folded up blanket that's not too tall, that can really allow your neck to remain in a neutral position. In this place, bring your focus and your attention to your heart center. Notice how you're doing today. Notice how you're feeling. And just know that these feelings will move through waves even as we practice today. They'll move through moments where maybe you feel open, and moments where maybe you feel a sense of constriction or restriction or sadness, and allow yourself to really breathe into the full range of your experience today. Bring your attention back into the breath and just notice every time you return to the breath, your mind focuses and you have a moment of that union, which is yoga, that moment of bliss, where all the waves of the thoughts and the emotions just disappear, and you're right here, right now. Breathe into your heart center, really feeling that expansion of the chest with inhalation. And the sinking and landing in the moment that the exhalation brings. And see if you can sense your heart beating, offering you the rhythm, the pulse of life. Continue breathing fully and deeply, sensing your heart rhythm, sensing your heart energy, allowing your thoughts to soften, your energy to soften. Continuing to notice where you're holding on and intentionally letting go a little bit more. So notice when your jaw clenches or your eyes start squinting, or you have a furrow between the brows, and just notice these actions and slowly bring relaxation back into yourself here. And take another deep breath in this position, deep long inhalation and an even longer exhalation. And then slowly remove any props and make your way all the way back down onto your back. Landing in a Savasana position, legs extended long. Notice where the prop was placed, so the bolster or the blankets or the block. And just sense any pulsing, streaming, or tingling sensations in the body. And then reach around for your strap. And we'll warm up the body with a strap. So lasso your right foot and take one end of the strap in each hand and hold on lightly. And just notice when you start gripping and see if you can lighten up your hands a little bit there. And take your legs in an L position with your right foot extended up toward the ceiling. And then begin to take your right foot in small circles on the ceiling. And from that place, begin to slowly let the circles ripple out as though you threw a pebble in a very still alpine lake. And it's just slowly rippling out from there until you find your full range of motion. And as you do this, really breathe into the sensations you feel. And so when you find your full big circle with the right leg, when you're ready, begin to change directions of that circle. And from there, draw everything back in, so as though you're rippling back in. So slowly spiral that leg, letting the circles get smaller and smaller until you're making tiny little circles back on the ceiling. And when your foot is at the ceiling and the circles are really small, take the strap in the right hand. And then take the knee to the inside and outside of the arm. So you're just bending the leg and then extending the leg up, and then bending the leg and extending it up inside and outside of the right arm. You can do this quickly or slowly. Just do it with intention and focus. And the next time your leg is extended up, pause there, take a big breath in. Take your left hand to root down through your left hip. Just placing the hand on top of the hip. And then slowly open up the leg to the right. And see if you can open up only so much that your hips are staying rooted onto the ground and in line with each other. So your hips are squared toward the ceiling as you slowly open up your right leg, and you draw the toe toward the ear until you find enough sensation to catch your attention. And when you find that sensation that's interesting to you, pause there and breathe into it. On a deep inhalation, rise back up through center. As you exhale, take the strap in the other hand, so the left hand, let the leg cross over the body. And you can soften the knee and let the leg come all the way across so the foot lands on the floor, or you can keep the leg extended. Take the right arm out to a T position and take your gaze toward or over the opposite shoulder. So you're coming into a nice deep spinal twist here. And you really get into the outer edge of the hip. So find the sensation in your body and breathe right into it. And you can imagine your breath has the quality of a soft yellow light And so just add that quality of nurturing, self-loving care into your breath, into your intention. And on an inhalation, slowly lift that leg back up, and it helps to bend at the knee a little bit. And begin to move into a half happy baby position. So you can continue holding onto the strap or reach around for the outer edge of the foot. So if you're holding onto the strap, just hold on and draw the knee in toward the armpit. Foot reaches toward the ceiling. And if you're reaching around for the outer edge of the foot, the same action happens as though you're standing on the ceiling with your right foot. You continue pressing down into the left hip with the left hand, just like we did when we opened up. Add any swaying or rocking here that helps you to open. And then slowly release the foot up to the ceiling. And place your hands down by your side. Point and spread the toes. Imagine you have a paintbrush between your big toe and your second toe. And you're going to paint a nice arc across the ceiling and across the opposite wall. And slowly lower that foot down to greet the opposite foot. And when you arrive at the bottom, notice the right side of your body and the left side and any difference between the two. Does one side of your body feel longer or shorter? Does one side of your body feel heavier or lighter or more alive? And then notice any pulsing, streaming, or tingling sensations in the body. And when you're ready, slowly lasso the left foot, extending that leg up toward the ceiling and taking a strap in each hand. And again, check in with your grip, letting it lighten up a little bit. And slowly begin to take circles with the foot on the ceiling, really small circles to start, so you're really isolating that left hip. And from there, like the pebble thrown into the alpine lake, allow your foot to just ripple out, following the circles. Rippling out until you find your full range of motion with this leg, so the full circle. And then as you're ready, change directions of that circle and let yourself spiral back in, and really take your time to get here. So just slowly moving the leg, allowing the circles to grow smaller and smaller until you find yourself moving in a really small circle. And then pause. Take the strap in the left hand. And then take the knee to the inside and outside of the arm. So you're just bending the leg and then extending the leg up, and then bending the leg and extending it up. Right hand presses down on top of the right hip, rooting that side down, and then slowly open up the left leg until you find your edge here. So you're really exploring for sensation that catches your attention, and then watching your hips, keep your hips facing the ceiling, so squared toward the ceiling, in line with each other. And the toe moves toward the ear. And so when you find your edge, find the sensation, find that nurturing energy and intention, and breathe from that place right into what you're feeling. And on the in-breath, let the leg rise back up, taking the strap in the right hand this time. Let your leg fall all the way across the body. And so if your foot lands in the ground, you can soften the knees, or you can keep the leg extended long and find a point of sensation where the foot doesn't quite touch the ground, but it really gets into the hip and the glute. Take left hand out to a big T position. You can take your gaze toward or over the opposite shoulder, completing the spinal twist. And breathe right into the sensation you're feeling. And again, bring that breath of self-love, that breath of warmth right into what you're feeling in your body. On your next in-breath, let the leg rise back up and begin to move into your half happy baby position using the strap or reaching around for the outer edge of the foot. Left foot stands on the ceiling, knee comes in toward the armpit. You really can draw down on your lower back here, rooting down through the back. Your right hand presses down on top of the right hip, rooting through that hip. Add any swaying or rocking that helps you to open here. And then slowly extend your left foot up, point and spread the toes, and place that imaginary paintbrush right in between your big toe and your second toe. And paint that nice arc across the ceiling and across the opposite wall until left foot lands on the mat right next to the right foot. At the bottom, you can just let go of the strap, let go of everything. Pause and breathe and notice left side of the body, right side, any difference between the two. And then slowly draw your knees in toward your chest, tucking around up toward your knees, giving yourself a tight squeeze, honoring yourself for showing up. Allow your feet to float back down to the mat, a comfortable standing distance from the hips, hip width apart. And begin to move into a figure 4 position, taking your right foot up and then ankle crosses over left thigh, right foot is flexed here. Send your knee away from you. And if you find enough sensation here, just pause, breathe into it, or begin to draw your legs in toward you, interlacing fingers around the left thigh, adding any swaying or rocking that helps you to open here. And if you notice your head starts coming up off the ground and you're clenching your jaw or you're adding any tension into your body, really focus on just letting go, softening head back down, softening foot back down if you need to. Just really moving to your edge, but not over your edge, not adding nothing that adds more tension and more stress to your body. So this is really about letting that go. And then slowly release left foot down and then right. And pause and notice left hip, right hip, any difference. Before moving to the other side, crossing left ankle over right thigh, moving into figure 4 position on the other side. Top foot is flexed and start pressing the knee toward the opposite wall. You can stay here or begin to draw right leg in toward you, interlacing hands around the right thigh. Add any swaying or rocking that helps you to open. Really bring your breath right into what you're feeling and allow the breath to focus the mind and soothe emotional centers here. Allow yourself to feel what you feel as we flow through this heart opening sequence, this hip opening sequence. Because as you feel things as they arise, they tend to pass in smaller and quicker waves. And you'll notice you might flow through a much fuller range of feelings and emotions than you might in a normal hour. So slowly release right foot to the ground and then left foot, and pause and notice one hip, then the other, any difference. And then reach around, draw knees in toward you, reach around underneath the thighs, and begin some spinal rocking. So you just add a little kick to the feet, tuck the chin slightly to protect the back of the neck, tap the toes on the ground, and then go back down. So really gentle spinal rocking here. And if this spinal rocking isn't available to you today, you can rock side to side. So just moving onto one side and then the other. Or you can take a supported happy baby position as you see in the other screen. Massaging across the lower back. And if you'd like, you can play with balance as you rock up, kind of taking a supported Navasana position, and then going back down, or continue tapping toes. And notice how you're breathing while you're doing this. See if you can begin to coordinate your breath with this movement. So next time you come up toward a seated position, take your feet to the ground, let the knees fall apart, creating a nice diamond shape with the legs here. And begin to take your thumbs right into the arches of your feet, so just massaging your thumbs into your feet. And then let yourself just rock side to side as you breathe into your hips, breathe into your muscles of your legs and your back. Slowly tucking and rounding, crown of the head approaches the soles of the feet. And begin to draw in on the navel, so navel moves in and up. And see where you can soften here around the eyes and the mouth and the jaw. Notice anywhere where you might be clenching or holding on and see if you can let it go. Notice where your edge is at and pause at the edge and breathe right into it. Bringing your warmth, bringing your nurturing energy right into your practice. One more deep breath here, creating a full inhalation and an even longer exhalation. And then slowly let yourself roll up, let the head come up last. Draw knees together. Hold on behind the thighs and slowly make your way into Navasana. So between the hips and heart we have our core. And the core is the center of the self, of self-worth. And so for our journey through the hips and the heart and the emotional centers of our body, it's so important to strengthen the core, strengthen that self-worth. As we enter Navasana boat pose, the shins come parallel to the earth. We're balancing here. You can hold on behind the thighs, lifting through the heart, shoulder blades glide down the back, or you can bring hands out facing each other. And if you're feeling really open and you want a little extra challenge today, you can begin to straighten through the legs, pointing the toes. And continue holding on behind the legs, lifting the heart, or reach hands out facing each other. Another option for the hands that's fun to explore is reaching arms up overhead and imagine you're holding onto a beach ball. So spreading through the fingers, adding some energy. And another fun thing to do is to begin to snap your fingers. And notice how bringing the mind to the snapping of the fingers creates a little lightness in this practice, helping you to hold this beyond where you normally hold this. And so one more deep breath. And then slowly let the feet come back down, knees fall apart, and once again rock your way into that nice diamond shape, forward fold, letting the crown of the head approach the soles of the feet, drawing navel in toward the spine and softening. On the in-breath, slowly let yourself roll up, head comes up last, and make your way into a squatting position. So you can take a high squat or a low squat, and you can support yourself in this position with a block or a bolster underneath you. So I like to use a block on the lowest setting underneath me if I'm taking a supported malasana or squatting pose. And there's a couple of positions for the hands. You can bring hands in front of you, supporting you if it's hard to sit back on your heels. So if you're just on the balls of your feet. Or if your heels are landing really nicely, or if you're in a supported position, press palms together, let the arm move the legs away from each other, and really use the press of the palms to rise up through the heart, finding a long spine, slight tuck of the chin, creating a long back of the neck. And a neutral drishti right in front of you. So drishti is a fixed point of concentration. So you can have the gaze right out in front of you, down your nose. Or let your eyes close and bring your inner gaze to your heart center, breathing right into your heart. So deepen your breath as we maintain malasana here. Breathing fully. And letting go a little bit more deeply with each exhalation. If at any point you're using the strength of your body and you need to add a little support, please take that time to do so. And continue in this pose that connects the heart with the hips, the lift of the heart, the sinking of the hips. For one more deep breath. And then release palms to the ground and slowly lift hips up toward the ceiling and look down at your feet and take your feet hip width and parallel. The outer edges of your feet line up with the edges of the mat. And then find your triangular base of support in the feet. So press down into the balls of the big toes and then the balls of the other toes and then the heel, and really feel your energy spread throughout that triangle in each foot. As you're in your forward fold, just let the knees bend so deeply and the head hang. You can hold on to opposite elbows here. You can add a little swing or rocking if it helps you to open. And for those of you who are experiencing tight hamstrings, it can help to have 2 blocks out in front of you and use a little press on the highest setting. Use a little press of the hands into the blocks to relieve the stress placed on the hamstrings. So find what works for you, find your yoga here, and breathe. And then bending the knees even more, slowly ragdoll your way up to standing, letting the head come up last. As you inhale, reach arms up overhead, press palms together at the top, really extend up through the heart, taking your gaze up toward the thumbs if it's comfortable for your neck. As you exhale, hinge from the hips and fold forward, pressing palms together. Let your head go down last. On the inhalation, come halfway, look up so hands can press into blocks or shins or the floor. As you exhale, plant hands down onto the mat and step, hop, or walk your way back into a plank pose. Drop the knees to the mat, take the knees far apart, toes come together, and press back into your child's pose. And in this child's pose, just soften at the elbows. Take left hand down onto the mat in the center of the mat and right hand on top of left hand. So really allowing yourself to just soften into your child's pose. Softening into your inner child and breathing with soothing energy into the hips, into the back of the heart here. And again, imagine your breath has the quality of a pale yellow light. And that light has the capacity to really generate loving energy within you and healing energy. And so as you're in this child's pose, if you're feeling any sensation or any emotion come up, really let that light move through it, move into it, supporting yourself. And then take your hands shoulder width apart, gaze up between your hands, and draw forward into a tabletop position and stack your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees under your hips, and then look back, take your feet right behind your knees, tops of the feet press down, stretching the ankles. On the inhalation, drop the belly, lift the heart, take your gaze up, you can soften through the elbows. And as you exhale, tuck and round, let the head hang heavy. Navel draws in. Inhale, drop belly, lift heart, gaze up. And exhale, tuck and round, gaze toward your navel. Inhale, drop belly, lift heart, gaze up. Exhale, tuck and round, and this time draw tailbone back toward the heels, getting into the upper back a little bit more, hovering over the heels. Imagine you have a ball in front of your nose and begin to roll it up between your hands and then undulate the spine back and down. So begin to move the spine like a wave, coming forward, softening through the elbows, and then tucking and rounding back down. And from here, I'm inviting you just to let go into your practice. So you can take hips in circles, or you begin to take ribs in circles. Really finding where you can take your body in this tabletop position, keeping hands on the ground and knees on the ground and feet on the ground. Just see where you can go, moving your spine in all directions, moving the hips, and just coordinate your breath with this movement. So it's a little free flow. Breath, movement, opening in all the directions of the spine. Opening the heart, opening the hips, and breathing in and through all of it. Take the next couple of breaths to make your way back into a neutral tabletop position. And from there, take your hands forward a little bit, spread the fingers, curl toes under, and make your way into downward facing dog. Keep the knees bent to start, really finding the long spine, hip creases pressed back, strong arms. And press down into the finger pads and then press down into the roots of the fingers. So really bringing your attention into your hands. Let your head hang heavy. Ears in line with the arms. And then slowly pedal out the heels, stretching across the calves and the hamstrings. Adding some movement if it helps you to open. And then find your full downward dog position. Heels can draw down toward the earth or knees can stay bent. And from here, gaze up between your hands and step, hop, or walk to the top of the mat. Another option is to walk hands back toward the feet, if that's easier for you. On your next in-breath, press into the blocks or the shins or the floor and come halfway and take your gaze forward and up. As you exhale, release back down. And then deep press down into the triangular base support in the feet. Inhale, come all the way up with a flat back, reaching hands out and then up. Big press into the palms at the top, heart lifts. And as you exhale, let the palms press together through heart center, releasing back down to your side. Inhale, arms sweep up, palms press together at the top, heart lifts. And exhale, press of the palms leads you all the way back down through your forward fold. Head goes down last. Inhale, halfway, take your gaze up. Exhale, plant hands down on the mat. Step, hop, or walk into your plank pose. And drop knees to the mat once again. Knees come far apart, toes come together, making your way back into your child's pose. And this time, soften at the elbows, take right hand toward the center. Let left hand cross over, resting on top of your right hand. Just softening into your child's pose, really bringing that breath right into the back of your heart and imagining that quality of a pale yellow light, soothing yourself. Breathing deeply, letting the breath slow and grow long with a really long exhalation. And then take your hands shoulder width apart. Draw forward into your tabletop position. On the in-breath, drop the belly, lift the heart, gaze up. As you exhale, tuck and round. Inhale, drop belly, lift heart, gaze up. And as you exhale, tuck and round. And from there, let it go, flowing into your own practice, taking the ribs in circles, the hips in circles, or undulating the spine, moving spine like a wave. And continue coordinating your breath with movement, really bringing that intention into your movement, that breath. Take the next couple of breaths to return to a neutral tabletop position. And then drop your elbows down where your wrists were, coming onto your forearms, and let your heart and head melt through the shoulders. And this might be enough for you today, really softening heart toward the earth. Or begin to walk your hands forward, melting heart, melting armpits down toward the earth. Forehead can rest on the mat or the chin can come to the ground. In Anahata Asana, so this is heart-opening pose. And really breathe right into your heart, generating that self-loving energy through the breath, through the letting go, through the softening. So this is softening into the heart. And then slowly release, beginning to walk hands back underneath shoulders, setting yourself up for a downward facing dog. So when you're ready, on an exhalation, press the mat away from you. Moving back into downward facing dog, and add any movement that helps you to open. Or begin to hold this in stillness, really finding your strength in stillness. Slowly walk hands back toward the feet or feet up toward the hands, moving into your forward fold. On the in-breath, press into the shins or the blocks or the floor and come halfway and look up. As you exhale, fold, releasing back down, and then pressing down into the feet, lead with a heart, come all the way up. Palms pressed together at the top, heart lifts. And as you exhale, just let your hands float down through heart center, palms pressed together, and then hands are released down to your side. For the next part of the standing series, we'll need a blanket and 2 blocks. And so if you don't have blocks around, you can just use your hands on the earth or on your own body. But blankets, I think everyone has access to, so you can just take them off your bed or your couch and use those, because it's really nice to support yourself underneath your knees as we start moving into low lunges here. As you get yourself set up, begin to make your way to the center of your mat. And if the top of the mat is north and the back of the mat is south, begin to turn east or west, and so you have a length of the mat on either side of you. Just turn in a direction that you can still see what we're doing. Find Tadasana at the center of the mat, facing east or west. On the inhalation, reach the arms up overhead. Energy through the finger pads. As you exhale, sweep the right hand down. And then support your lower back by reaching the back of the right hand and pressing it into the lower back. And then the top arm, the left arm, reaches up. Pinky finger turns in and then reach across just a little bit. Finding length in the whole left side of the body, so you can trace the length of the body from the outer edge of the left foot all the way through the fingertips. On the exhalation, you can find yourself sinking a little bit deeper into the C shape of the spine. If you want to add a little more core strengthening, you can sweep that right hand out. Imagine you're holding on to a beach ball. For 1, 2, 3. And then slowly release hands down toward the earth, coming around in a big circle. And then all the way back up, hands extended up in standing mountain, extended mountain pose. And then slowly release your hands back down to your side. Inhale, reach arms up, and this time your left hand comes around, supporting your lower back. Top arm reaches up, pinky finger turns in, and then reach across just a little bit, really finding length in the right side of your body here. And trace the length from the outer edge of the right foot all the way through the fingertips. If you want to add a little bit more core strength, you can reach left hand out. Imagine you're holding on to a beach ball. Energy through the hands. Neck remains in a neutral position here. For 1, 2, 3, and then slowly lower the hands down, moving around a circle in the other direction until you find yourself in extended mountain pose at the top. Big breath in at the top. As you exhale, float hands back down. And then step your feet into a wide standing posture. Bring your heels in and toes out. And slide hands down toward your thighs, just above the kneecaps, letting yourself settle down, hips sink low, add some swaying side to side, really feeling your feet rooted down here. And breathe right into your belly, let the belly hang a little bit as you come through center. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, send your right shoulder toward the center. Look over the opposite shoulder. And inhale through center. Exhale, left shoulder drops, taking gaze up and over opposite shoulder. And then one more time each side. Inhale through center. And exhale, right shoulder drops, taking gaze up and over opposite shoulder. And inhale through center. Exhale to the other side. And come back through center and find your heels. So really press down to the heels. Find your tailbone. Imagine tailbone has a heavy dragon's tail attached to it, and slowly let that pull you up a little bit. And then stack your core right on top of your hips. Take the floating ribs in, lift through the heart, and stack the heart right on top of the core. And then the shoulders sit really easily and lightly on top of the strong core. And then begin to cactus your arms up overhead, hands face each other, energy through the fingertips, feeling your strength in this goddess pose. On a big breath in, reach hands up, toes face forward. As you exhale, bring hands out to a T position in a 5-pointed star pose. And then take your right toes toward the end of the mat or the front of the mat. And send your knee right over the ankle toward the second two toes of that right foot. And keep your alignment of the spine. And so that stacking we just did, really check in with your body. Notice if you're pulling forward or pulling back. You can even reach forward and back until you find your center. Really root through the outer edge of that back foot. Sending that front knee forward a little bit more and breathing. Taking your gaze toward or over the front hand. And then drop your forearm down on the front thigh. Use the press of the arm into the leg to lift the heart up. Top arm reaches up and then across the ear. Energy through the fingers. Pinky finger rotates inward, allowing the shoulder blade to slide down the back. And keep a neutral neck or gaze up and under that top arm. Allow the top arm to pull you up and begin to move into peaceful warrior. And so your left hand slides down that back leg, heart lifts, your right arm reaches up toward the ceiling. And from there, slowly begin to straighten your front leg. And then sending hips toward the opposite end of the mat, reach toward the front. Moving into Trikonasa or triangle pose. And so having a block in your hand can be really supportive here. You can reach around for one if you don't have one yet. So hips move toward the back, reaching for the front. And then when you can't reach any further, drop hand down to the block or the leg or the floor. And top arm reaches up. Long line of energy from the right fingers all the way up through the left fingers, heart lifts. And you can imagine you're pressing the mat away from you with each foot, so you're really stretching the mat out with the feet. And let the top arm pull you all the way back up through center. And then bending the front knee, cartwheel your hands down, framing that front foot, so the right foot. And come into a low lunge. So top of the back foot presses down. Slowly walk your hands up to the front thigh, adding a little pulsing here, lifting through the heart, using the press of the hands to draw shoulder blades down the back. And then bring hands in as though you are making an offering from your heart center. And as you sink hips down, reach hands forward and then out. And then draw everything back in, extending your heart energy outward. And as you do this, you can imagine someone else is in the room with you there. You're extending your heart energy out to them. Maybe it can be a smaller version of yourself, or it can be someone you love dearly, or even someone you're working on loving. And then slowly extend arms up toward the ceiling. Hands face each other, or you can clasp fingers. Pointer finger presses up toward the ceiling, really finding that extension upward. Big breath in, back off the lunge a little bit, and as you exhale, sink the hips and lift the heart. You can take your gaze forward or up. One more deep breath here. And as you exhale, release the hands, framing the front foot. And so this is where it's really helpful to have 2 blocks placed on either side of the front leg. And begin to pull the hips back, moving into a half splits. And so your left hip is right over the knee, and the back foot is right behind the knee. Top of the foot presses down. And your front leg the knee can remain soft, or you can extend that leg so it's long. Front foot is flexed. And from there, you're hinging from hips, lifting through the heart, folding forward with a long spine. Using the press of the hands into the blocks or the floor to really help with the motion of extending forward rather than rounding forward. Add any swaying or rocking here that helps you to open. And breathe right into the sensation you're feeling. This is half splits is a version of intense leg stretch, and it's called intense leg stretch for a reason. Take one more deep breath here. On the exhalation, slowly come back forward into your runner's lunge. Take hands to the inside of your right foot and walk right foot out to line it up at the edge of the mat. Hands are stacked right under shoulders, and the right knee draws in toward that right shoulder. Top of the back foot continues pressing down into the earth. If you'd like to go deeper, you can drop down onto your forearms, taking your elbows where your wrists were, spreading the fingers. And take your gaze right between your hands or right out in front of you, depending on where you're at, creating a neutral neck, a neutral spine. If you're down on your forearm, slowly press your way back up. Reach your left hand out. It can even come off the mat. Right foot moves to a 45-degree angle, and then with a big sweeping motion, reach the right arm up. And then soften at the elbow or cactus the arm so you get into the armpit. Big breath across the chest here. As you exhale, sink the hips a little bit deeper. And continue breathing here, really feeling that expansion across the heart center. As you exhale, return your right hand back down and curl back toes under. So coming into this runner's lunge, but a wide-legged runner's lunge here. So you're going to step right into that front foot, back foot comes all the way up. And so then you sink hips down into a nice deep squat. You can put a block underneath you here. You can take a high squat or a low squat. And pause and breathe into it, connecting hips with heart in Malasana. And then slowly bring your hands down to the earth. Toes face forward, feet are hip width and parallel. Outer edges of the feet line up with the mat. And slowly ragdoll your way up to standing, letting your head come up last. And once again, find your way back into the center of the mat, facing east or west. Inhale, reach arms up overhead. And this time clasp fingers together and pointer fingers press up toward the sky. So you're pressing fingers up, pointing toward the North Star, and then slowly reach hands across the body to the right side, creating a big lateral stretch, finding that length in the whole left side of the body. Inhale through center and exhale to the other side, so to the left this time. Really finding length in the whole right side of the body. Inhale through center, separating hands, rain hands all the way down, wiggling fingers, and take a big step out into a wide-legged standing pose. Heels come in, toes go out, hands slide down to the thighs, coming into a goddess pose. And once again, we'll add some movement and some stretching. So breathe right into the belly. As you exhale, lower right shoulder toward the center. Take your gaze up and over the opposite shoulder. Inhale through center and exhale, left shoulder drops, taking your gaze up and over right shoulder. And one more time, inhale through center. Exhale, drop right shoulder down. And inhale through center, exhale, drop left shoulder down. Inhale through center, and then slowly let your spine roll up, creating length in the spine, stacking core on top of hips, heart on top of core, and shoulders softly on top of the heart. Shoulder blades glide down the back. And then reach hands up, cactusing arms out, hands face each other, feeling your strength here, sinking down through the hips, really rooting through the feet. Adding any swaying or rocking that helps you to open. On the exhalation, sink a little deeper. Inhale, everything reaches up, fingers spread, toes face forward. And as you exhale, hands come out to a T position, into this 5-pointed star pose. And then slowly turn left toes out. So your left heel is aligned with your right heel or the arch of the right foot. And send your left knee right over the ankle toward the second two toes of the left foot. As you press down into the outer edge of the back foot, and then check in with yourself. Are you moving forward or backward? Is your heart still stacked upon your core and your shoulders on top of your heart? Are you finding yourself in alignment here? And then just turn your gaze toward or over that front hand, looking beyond the fingertips. And then rest the forearm, the left forearm down on the thigh, palm opens up, press of the hand lifts the heart, and the top arm reaches up. And then the arm comes across the ear, pinky finger rotates inward. Let the top arm pull you back up, moving into peaceful warrior. Right hand slides down that back leg, left hand lifts up, heart lifts. Shoulders soften, and you can gaze up here. Send that front knee forward right over the ankle still, so you really sink down into this. And then begin to back off the lunge, straighten the legs, setting yourself up for Chukonasana or triangle pose. Hips move toward the back of the mat as you reach your hand toward the front of the mat. And then bring hand down to a block or the shin or the floor as you reach the top arm up, really stretching from fingertip to fingertip, finding that expansion across the heart center. And breathe. Let the top arm pull you all the way back up. And then bend the knee forward as you cartwheel your hands down, framing the left foot with your hands, dropping onto the back knee, pressing down into the top of the back foot here, coming into a low lunge. Walk hands up to the front thigh, pressing the thigh away from you to lift the heart. Add a little pulsing here. And then again, hands come in toward the heart as though you have an offering in your hands from your own heart, extended outward. And again, you can use the imagination piece if there's someone or something that you'd like to extend heart energy to. You can picture them in front of you as you sink hips down, extend hands forward, and then let them come around for a couple deep breaths. And on your next in-breath, reach arms up, energy through the fingertips, or hands can interlace, pointer finger presses up. Take a big breath in as you back off the lunge. As you exhale, sink hips, lift heart, take your gaze forward or up. And really breathe into the sensation you feel in your hips and in your heart here. And from this Anahata Asana posture, slowly release hands down, framing the front foot again, and you can place hands on blocks as we draw back into a half splits. So just like we did on the other side, slowly begin to straighten through that front leg and keep the knees soft, flexing that front foot. Toes move up toward the ceiling, energy through the feet, so draw back on the outer edge of that front foot. And your right hip is right over the right knee. Top of the back foot presses down into the mat. And breathe right into the sensation you feel as you begin to hinge from the hips and extend yourself forward. Long spine. Add any swaying or rocking that helps you to open here. One more deep breath right into the hamstrings with that soft, loving energy. And then slowly come forward back into your low lunge. Take hands to the inside of the left foot this time. Walking left foot out to the edge of the mat, lining it up. And then hands come right under shoulders, making some room for yourself. Heart pulls through the shoulders. And if you'd like to go deeper, you can drop elbows down where the wrists were, coming onto your forearms. And keep a neutral neck, a neutral spine here. You can add some swaying or rocking if it helps you to open. Slowly walk hands back under you if you've been down on your forearms, and extend your right hand out wide this time. Take left foot out to a 45-degree angle, and then a big sweeping motion of the left hand, opening up across the chest and the armpit. You can cactus the arm, bending at the elbow, spreading the fingers. Breathe across the heart center. One more deep breath here, really reaching that hand out. And then as you exhale, come back through center. Hands are still on the inside of that left foot. As you curl your toes under, give energy into the back of that knee, the right knee, coming into a wide-legged runner's lunge. And then with a lot of focus, step into that front foot and step right foot up into a squatting position. You can take a high squat or a low squat and support yourself with any blocks or bolsters that help you here. Choose a position for the hands and lift through the heart, creating a long spine. And then slowly press into the feet. Tailbone reaches up toward the ceiling and let yourself hang in a forward fold. And then slowly ragdoll your way up to standing, letting your head come up last. And inhale, reach arms up overhead, palms pressed together. As you exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway, look up. Exhale, plant hands on the ground. Step back into your plank pose. Drop knees to the mat and make your way back into a child's pose, taking some constructive rest here. Slowly let yourself roll up and stack your knees right underneath your hips, coming into a kneeling position. And if you haven't placed your blanket under your knees already, you can take some time to support yourself here. And take your hands, fingers pointed down to the back, to your low back, elbows draw together. And send your hips forward and take your gaze up here. So this is a supported camel pose. And if you'd like to go deeper, you can curl your toes under and drop hands back to the heels. Really sending your hips forward and finding extension through the heart center here. And find a neutral position for your neck. Something that's comfortable and not straining. Take one more deep breath here, really lifting through the heart. And as you exhale, tuck and round, once again landing in child's pose, taking constructive rest. And slowly let yourself come back into your kneeling position. And choose a position for yourself again. You can have hands resting on the back of your hips, elbows draw together, or you can begin to reach for your heels, either with your toes curled under or the tops of your feet pressing down, moving into Astrasana. Heart lifts, hips press forward, and if the tops of your feet are pressing down, really press down into them. Take one more deep breath here, and then slowly come up and move back into your child's pose. Big breath into the back of the heart here, and recall that soft yellow light that you can breathe into your body that sends healing into your heart. Slowly roll up and make your way onto your hips on one side and swing your legs all the way around. And then scoot your hips up toward your heels. Reach hands forward and imagine you're holding on to some angel's or ancestor's hand, and they're just going to slowly lower you back down onto your mat. It can be a living angel or a living ancestor also, but someone who loves you dearly, who will help you down onto your mat. And then slowly take your feet hip width apart, a little bit closer to your glutes, setting yourself up for a bridge pose. And when you're ready, take a big breath into the belly. As you exhale, press into the feet, curl the tailbone under and send your hips up. Then walk shoulders underneath you, clasping hands or pressing palms down into the mat. Really finding expansion across the chest. Draw your knees toward each other, engaging the legs, releasing the glutes, releasing the tailbone. And breathe, softening around the eyes and the mouth and the jaw. Slowly let yourself return back down to the earth, making room for yourself to trace your spine all the way back down. And from here, slowly come into a happy baby position, either holding on underneath the thighs or reaching around for the outer edges of the feet. And from here, you can add a little rocking or swaying, extending one leg long and then the other. It's really getting into the posture in a way that feels good. Draw your lower back down toward the earth. as you soften around the mouth and the jaw and the eyes. And when you release your happy baby pose, we'll make our way into our inversion practice. And so inversions are all about flipping perspective. And anytime we get into the hips and the heart and we do this deep opening that we did today, it's so important to flip our perspective upside down, creating some space for new ways of being and thinking in the world. And so for your inversion practice, you can do your favorite inversion. And so this can be a headstand or a shoulder stand or a supported shoulder stand or legs up the wall. Just really check in with yourself and notice what's calling to you today, what's safe for you today. And give yourself the time to get your hips up above the heart. Another option is you can do another bridge pose if that's comfortable for you, or you can take a restorative bridge pose again. So I'll be demoing a supported shoulder stand and legs up the wall here. But feel free to add a little bit of your own flair, a little bit of your own practice here. Slowly make your way back down so you can slowly bend at the knees if you've been at the wall. And if you're in a shoulder stand or a headstand or supported shoulder stand, you can slowly make your way back down and make your way into a counter pose. And so a counter pose for a headstand is a child's pose. If you've been at the wall, land in a fetal position. If you've been in a supported shoulder stand, you can take a happy baby pose again, or you can take a fish pose. And if you've been in a full shoulder stand, you can take a fish pose if it's comfortable for your neck. And I'll demo a fish pose because we've already gone through happy baby position and child's pose. So you can look up at the video if you don't know what that is. So taking a counter pose, just breathe into your heart center, breathe into your hips, and really thank your body for showing up this fully to your practice. So take another couple of deep breaths to slowly make your way onto your back into Savasana, and allow your eyes to close, beginning to turn your gaze inward. I'll slowly guide you through a chakra meditation where you'll find your energy centers lighting up with life and vitality, allowing the natural stream of wellness in your body to come forth. So as you're ready, begin to let go, make any adjustments you need to make to get comfortable, and just bring your attention to your breath and into this visualization. Allow yourself to be held in the cradle of the earth. Bring your attention to your physical body and feel the sensation of air on your skin. Notice the temperature outside and the temperature in your body. And take a couple of deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, allowing yourself to land a little more fully with each deep inhalation. Even deeper exhalation. Notice the muscles around the eyes and the mouth and the jaw, and see if you can just relax the face. Bring your attention to your tailbone and imagine there's a red light at your tailbone. And as you breathe, that red light is spiraling outward, filling up every cell of your body. And as you notice it doing this, state to yourself, I have the right to be here now. I have the right to be here now. And then slowly travel up to the region of your pelvis. And notice an orange light. And from that orange light, it's going to begin spiraling out, filling up the cells of your body. As you state to yourself, I have the right to feel all of my sensations, feelings, and emotions. My feelings will guide me home. Travel up to your navel, to your solar plexus, and imagine a yellow light pulsing, streaming outward, spiraling outward, filling up every cell of your body. As you state to yourself, I have the right to be myself. I have the right to be myself. And slowly travel up to the heart center as you imagine a green light radiating from the heart, filling up every cell of your body and beyond. As you state to yourself, I have the right to love and be loved. I am loved and I am love. And slowly travel up to your throat as you picture a blue light and state to yourself, I have the right to speak my truth. I have the right to speak my truth. And slowly travel up to your third eye and imagine a violet light. That light's pouring out from your third eye and then traveling through your body, filling up every cell of your body. And think to yourself, I have the right to turn to my own wisdom, to know my truth, to know my action. I am guided by inner wisdom. And then travel up to the crown of the head. Imagine a white crystal at the crown of the head, shining light through every cell of your body and beyond. I surrender to the divine flow of the universe. I have faith in the divine flow of the universe. And then all at once imagine this rainbow of your chakras lighting up. This rainbow of your affirmations and your mantras lighting up, filling yourself up with everything you need to be fully here, fully alive now. And begin to deepen your breath, calling yourself back into the present moment. Bring some gentle movement to your fingers and your toes. And then slowly bending at the knees, extend your right arm up overhead. Make your way onto your right side, making a pillow for your head with your arm. Pausing here, keeping your attention turned inward, deepening your breath. And with all that focus turned inward, slowly press your way up to a comfortable seated position and take the time it takes to get settled here. So as you sit here, watch your breath move in and out and allow your breath to focus your mind. Allowing yourself this moment of peace before you start the rest of your day. I honor the place inside of you where the entire universe resides. It is a place of love, of light, of truth, and of peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one. Namaste.